Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I am your host, Suleiman Steele. It's beautiful Monday. Not really that beautiful, it's kind of gloomy, right? It's been a gloomy weekend here in Johannesburg, South Africa. But yeah, I'm super pumped to be back, super pumped to be doing the show this week. Hope you guys are ready. Let's kick this beast off. Simple, quick, easy, fast news. Let's start it off with Snapchat. I don't know if you guys saw everything that happened last week with Snapchat, the way things went down. It was absolutely insane. So there was an ad that was running on Snapchat, which was basically, would you rather slap Rihanna or punch Chris Brown? I honestly, I'm not even sure what the plan was with that ad. What was the thinking there? Like, why would you put those two people in a domestic violence situation? You know, we've already been here, people. This is the worst part about this is that these are two people who have tried again to move on past the situation. It's such a delicate, nuanced situation. Yet people play around with things like that. You know, what these two people went through was extremely traumatizing, and you choose to bring things like this up again. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it just really doesn't make any sense to me how something like this could take place, how there's nobody within Snapchat, for example, that is looking at these type of things. You know, I don't know if this was an ad run by another company or what exactly took place here, but there's no way Snapchat can hide from this. You know, this is like what happened with Facebook with the whole fake news stuff that took place during the 2016 presidential election. But at the end of the day, there should be better regulations on this. It's just the way it is. It really should be better regulated. People are not, you know, the things that people post on social media is already insane, right? But now when you have people running ads, so people actually paying money to do this, it's a game changer a little bit, you know. So there should be regulations. There should be ways for people to, I mean, for a company like Snapchat to be able to stop this kind of thing, because domestic violence is not a joke. You know, it's not something to be played around with. It's something that is very serious. It affects millions and millions of people worldwide. You know, and when we are joking about it instead of figuring out ways to address it and improve the problem, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So Snapchat, I mean, come on, you guys keep on losing. You guys have been struggling as a platform. Come on, guys, just get better understanding of what you're doing. You know, just think about it for 2 seconds and think about the people that you're actually gonna hurt. You know, people have feelings. The problem is that it's almost like people don't think that people have feelings online. You know, but that's just my 2 cents. Moving on, I mean, we're gonna stick with Chris Brown. I don't know if you guys saw this. If you saw his brand new music video with Lil Dicky called Freaky Friday, which is basically a play on the movie Freaky Friday. Came out many years ago. It's a truly incredible video. I thought that it was absolutely amazing. It just, you know, it's one of those things that yet again shows Chris Brown's creativity and just how much of a level this guy is on as a performer. You know, one of the reasons why I'm bringing it up is it trended everywhere this past week. It was everywhere. You know, many people were speaking about it, like tons of people were speaking about it. And one of the things that really came up was, you know, when people would say, what an amazing video, Chris Brown is so talented, he's an incredible artist, he's probably one of the best out there. And then people come out and say, well, but he's a woman beater. I'm not disagreeing with you there. He is. It happened. He was convicted for it. He served his time. He's trying to improve himself. Do we not give people chances anymore? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, do you walk around and have you not been given a second chance? Have you not been given a chance to redeem yourself? You know, it's almost like, no, we don't, you know, you're a celebrity, what you did was wrong, and that's it. But I mean, at the end of the day, the man is still human. You can't separate, you can't put the two things together. You know what I mean? Like him as an artist and what he did. You can't, I don't feel like you could put those two things together. You know, not for me personally. I think those two things are extremely different. You know, it's the same person, but in truth they have nothing to do with each other. You know, his personal life and his artistic life are two separate things, and I wish that people would really understand that and stop judging like you haven't done anything wrong. You know, like I don't get that. You know, people walk around like you are free of sin. You know, you can't do that. You know, people just need to be more be more aware of what's going on. Because at the end of the day, the moment you start judging, you allow for other people to be able to judge you, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes being judged. So just pay attention here a little bit, people. Moving on, thank you very much. It's weird, but I kind of feel like, domestic violence is gonna be, it's the topic for the first 3 topics, I guess, for this week, which is insane. I don't know if you guys saw this, I'm pretty sure you must have. The baseball player who beat up his girlfriend on a stairwell. Now, I don't, one of the things that people always say is, there's 2 sides to the story and so on and so forth. Okay, I can accept that, and I can't say that that's not true. But if you see this video, the level of violence is extreme. Even if he was hitting a man, the level of violence was extreme. That's that. That for me, that's the main thing here. It's about the level of violence that we have towards one another. It's, yes, the violence towards women is extreme. And from what I saw, I was truly, truly disgusted by it. I was extremely disgusted by that type of behavior. And it was, it raised the question and it brought back the hashtag, men are trash. It started that conversation again. But the problem is that it's no longer a conversation. Now it's just straight up allegations. Men are trash, all men, regardless of race, religion, or creed. Every single man on planet Earth is now labeled as trash. Would I agree with that statement? Probably not, but maybe a little part of me does, because I feel like how many men are actually standing up against men who do what this baseball player did? How many men are actually turning a blind eye to it? It's sort of that. That's my take on this. That's where I feel like men are trash, but not enough of us are coming out and advocating and supporting the movements where it's no to women abuse. No, it needs to stop. Women and children abuse. It needs to. It has to. It just has to. Bottom line, no. That's it. It should end. But the only way for me, I believe that it should end through conversation. The hashtags are great because they start the conversations, but the conversations need to be had in a way that is beneficial to both parties. You can agree to disagree and walk away respecting somebody. We're not always going to agree on certain things, and that's just the way the world works, right? We're not always going to agree, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to have some form of an understanding in terms of what is actually going on. Okay, so yeah, let's see if we can get these conversations going. I know that I'm going to try and start this week. I'm going to try and add value to conversations around violence against women and children. I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. It's better than not doing it. So I'm going to put in that effort, and I'm going to see how it turns out. If we can have proper, genuine conversations, I'll bring it up to you guys next week. So yes, moving on. Back in the news yet again. H&M is at it. I don't understand what H&M's problem is. We are in March and already you have 2 massive, massive scandals on your hands. Massive scandals. And this one scandal, this week or this month, I don't know if you're planning on going for 12 scandals for the year, but hey, hopefully that's not the case. I don't even know if you're gonna last, but whatevs. This scandal was basically about H&M filing for a lawsuit, I guess, to basically, to say that graffiti, pieces of art that are on walls in public places, they should be able to use it freely without having to pay the artist. So they would be able to, for example, take a picture of that graffiti and put it on their clothing without reimbursing the artist for that. What kind of treacherous behavior is that? At the end of, I don't understand what H&M's goal is with this move. I don't know. How would people support? Do you honestly think people will support you if you took a Banksy piece and you put it on your shirts? Do you think people will applaud you for that? Because I really do not think people would. There's a lot of graffiti artists in the world who are extremely revered by many, many people, not just in the art world, but in the day-to-day world. These people applaud them and they champion these creatives, and yet you want to come and just steal their work? Like, what is that? I don't understand brands who like to do this. Why don't brands like to reimburse people that put out the work? People do work. They need to be compensated for it. That's just, it's that. Or leave it alone. Why not go and hire a graphic designer to come and do to do the artwork for you guys in your clothing? There's many ways. We see Woolworths do it. We see Pick n Pay do it. We see a lot of major brands team up with artists to put out product. The only difference here is that you guys are trying to actually steal it and say, well, what they're doing is illegal anyway. Fine. Be that as it may, but that doesn't mean that two wrongs don't make a right. That is just the bottom line here. And I kind of feel like that's what H&M is missing out on. So, yet again, H&M is in the news. Yet again, H&M is just messing up. And it's crazy. It's crazy that a brand of this magnitude will continue to make these type of errors, which shows to you that everybody makes mistakes, right? They made a mistake with the coolest monkey in the jungle. Nobody gave them for it, but we said, we're gonna give you a chance. We'll leave you out there. But then they do this. I don't understand. What the heck? Huh? Craziness. Moving on. South Africans must, a lot of South Africans are talking about this, so I know that you guys must know what's coming up next. Australia. Australia. One of the things we've heard in South Africa quite a lot of since, I guess, the 94 elections was white South Africans who were upset with the ANC being in power and so on, and they would say things like, I'm moving to Australia. Okay, that's cool. If that's really what you want to do, you should do that. I'm not saying you should. But now what's happened is Australia has involved themselves and basically said they are now going to help white farmers in South Africa who want to move to Australia. They are willing to give them visas and they're willing to help speed up the process because of the Land Expropriation Act that's going to be passed soon. We basically say what Australia is saying is that yes, you guys are getting kicked out of your country, you guys are being forced out, it's not right, we're going to take care of you. Australia, stop it. Just stop it, Australia. Please, why are you involving yourself in this? And secondly, you guys are making this, it's all wrong. Now it's the racial tension around this is already high. It's it's extremely high. And for your prime ministers and so on to be coming out and saying we're only accepting white farmers, that's not going to help the situation. It's really not helping the situation at all. The problem is that we are too focused on race. Right? It's the one thing that we focus on so much. It's such a massive thing. Which is crazy because I read an article the other day which Jacques had showed to me about twins. Twins, people. One was black, one was white. Twins, born from the same parents. One was white, one was black. They don't see red, they see sisters. They see each other, that's it. There's no race, they're not seeing race, right? But what happens as you grow up, as you get older, is that you get forced to see it. It gets put in your face. It gets told. You get told you are white, you are black. This is the way it is. This is the way it isn't. Blah blah blah. And Australia decided to add their 2 cents to this situation. You know why I'm frustrated by Australia doing this? Because Australia are the original land thieves. They're up there with America and so on and so forth. The Aborigines were there long before the Australians arrived. Right? Now we're the Aborigines, going in the direction of the Indians. What? You only adding fuel to the fire. So Australia, please stop it. Stay out of our business. When we ask you to get involved, get involved. But we don't ask you, just stay out of it. Damn it. Sheesh. Oh, this was flipping fascinating. This was super awesome. I watched the video. It was funny as hell. So, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a Home Affairs employee, right, who was busy helping a customer at Home Affairs with their passport, but at the same time she was on Facebook. So she was literally scrolling through her timeline, doing her thing, while helping this person. Now, obviously, this went viral because this was, if you've ever been to Home Affairs, you know what it's like. You know you have to cancel out 6 days of your week because at the end of the day, that's where you're going to be spending most of your time. You basically become an employee at Home Affairs. It's like a short training course that you go through where you need to do anything at Home Affairs. And now you have to deal with somebody who's more involved on their Facebook than they are in helping you. It's a crazy thing, right? For me, it's a crazy thing because I imagine, right, that there should be specific jobs where being online should be prohibited for your work period. If you work at Home Affairs, you shouldn't be on social media because you should be helping customers. If you're a truck driver, you shouldn't be on social media because you're driving a truck. If you're a school teacher, I just feel, that's just my opinion as well. It's my 2 cents. This was funny because obviously the Minister of Home Affairs had to come out and say, we condemn this, we're running an investigation. What investigation do you need to run? She was caught. All you need to do is find out her name. That is it. Find out her name and fire her. That is it. It's that simple. But if you don't have those procedures in place in terms of that you shouldn't be on social media when you're at work, then you probably need to give her some form of a disciplinary hearing or something. Because you're going to end up at the CCMA, chances are. So, I don't know, Home Affairs used to figure it out. I just found that extremely funny because you can't imagine, one thing you imagine at Home Affairs is that it's always going to be slow. But you never imagine that it's going to be slow because somebody is trying to update their post. That baffled me. Moving on. Oh man. The man himself, Vladimir Putin, has given himself. I don't know if there was an election, but I know that he's president for another 6 years. He's president of Russia for another 6 years. I don't know if there was an election. I doubt there was an election. But yes. The reason why this is just more crazy on top of crazy on top of crazy mixed with a bowl of extra crazy is, I don't know if you guys heard about the former Russian spy who then went to work for the British government, who was poisoned. Him and his daughter were poisoned in the UK, and it was said that it was the Russians, right? So obviously they needed to, Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, basically had to come out and explain why it was the Russians. The nerve agents that they used, the poison that they used, was Russian made. Russia is the only country that makes this poison. Russia comes out and says, no, we didn't do it though. I don't understand this. I just don't get it. Like, why? What is going on? Russia has become extremely brazen, right? We saw it with the missile test that they did. We now seeing it with the killing, the assassination of the spy. What's next? I mean, the 2016 election, we see Russia has become the most brazen country in the world. They have zero regard for anything that is taking place right now. And there's nobody to stop them. The one country that you imagine would be able to stop them, which would be the United States of America, is caught up in their own nonsense. You might be wondering, what nonsense are you talking about now, Suleiman? What could it possibly be? Well, I have a question for you guys. How would you feel if you got fired over social media? How would you feel? How would you, if you saw it in a post that you've been replaced? You wouldn't feel too great, right? But it did happen. That happened to Rex Tillerson. The worst part was, it wasn't like Donald said you were fired like he usually does. You're fired. No. What Donald did was he basically he tweeted the next person who was going to be the head of state, I think it was. Yeah, I think that was it. He just announced this person and he says, thank you Rex Tillerson for your service, so on and so forth. Cool. The Trump presidency comes out and says no. Sarah Huckabee Sanders comes out and says no, he wasn't fired over Twitter, there was a process that took place. Another Trump aide comes out and says no, that is literally where Rex Tillerson found out. He found out that he got fired on Twitter. Guess what happened to the person who said that? He got fired. It's really insane right now. Getting fired at the Trump White House is probably happening a lot more than it was on The Apprentice. There are a lot more people getting fired. It's insanity. How did we get to this point? We've now seen Robert Mueller basically subpoenaed the Trump businesses, which is absolutely amazing. We need to see this because the truth is that there was an agreement back in 2015 with a Russian bank for the Trump's businesses to build a hotel there. Jared Kushner and them that had the meeting, Don Jr., who had the flipping, who released the emails. There's so much going on right now. You know, I don't know if you guys know about the power plants, the electricity plants, the water plants that were all hacked, that the Russians are now, they literally are sitting in the systems. They're sitting in the systems, just chilling, gathering intelligence. They can shut it down at any point in time. You know how terrifying that is, because America's a superpower, so anything that happens to them, their economy affects the rest of the world, right? It's just that's what happens. It's madness. It's madness, people. Oh man, moving on. I saw this morning. Tidied it up this morning, but you know, there was a bombing that took place in Austin a few days ago. So far as I know, 2 lives were lost. So, my condolences go out to the families of those 2 people. Shootings, bombings, man, the level of bloodshed and the level of violence that's going on in the world right now it's beyond me. It's beyond me. I don't understand how we've gotten here, and I don't understand where we go from here. You know, we're not even having conversations anymore. It's just an extremely sad situation. Moving on. So I don't know if you guys, this was juicy news, man. This was such juicy news. Jacob Zuma he's going to be charged for his 743 crimes. So 2 things I want to discuss on that. Sean Abrams, well done for actually putting the charges forward, because everybody was pretty suspect on whether or not you were going to do it, because at the end of the day, we all know that you are Zuma crony. Zuma's your friend. He wants the hand that fed you. Good job on actually doing it. I think it's 743 charges. I read a headline this morning that said Jacob Zuma doesn't have the money for the legal fees. So, okay, get him a public defender. Okay, we must have public defenders in this country. Or he should ask one of his homies. Get the money. The money, that is irrelevant, Jacob. As long as you have the money, doesn't matter. You're gonna go to court. It's gonna happen. That it doesn't matter if you don't have money or not. That's just the bottom line here. Secondly, we were kind of seeing a lot of, I think it was the judge who's going to be on it. It's really been this question of will she, won't she, can she help him, can she save him? I don't know if you guys have been seeing, you know, and also pay attention to the fake things that have been going around on WhatsApp and on Twitter and so on and so forth. One of the things that I know for a fact that is true, she has said that the only way Jacob Zuma gets out of this is by a miracle. That's it. That there are too many facts against him, and she knows it. We all know it. We all know it. Every single one of us knows it. Right. So Jacob Zuma, I wish you the best. I'm gonna be following it very closely. I want to see you get charged. Let me be honest. I mean, it's been a long time coming. You know, I think I was 20 when this first started. It's been like 10 years. It's been a long time. We've got to get this sorted. We just have to. You know, we have to get this sorted. I think that's the show. That is the show. It literally happened so fast. Oh wait, that's not the show. How could I say that? We're still going through our listeriosis crisis. Obviously, there's major calls for Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi to clarify some statements, to clarify some things, let people know what's really going on here. Because at the end of the day, last week this was big news. This past week it kind of dwindled away. That's what happens with things on social media. right? And that's what happens with news in general. Things kind of slow down. But we should still be talking about this because I know people are still dying from this disease. It's a horrible disease. We don't need this type of disease. This can be cured, I think. When I say cured, I mean it can be preempted, it can be prevented before it takes place. If this is a money move, please, people, tell us it's a money move, damn it. That's it, right? Pretty simple. It's like, that's just where I'm at. That's just my thinking of this whole situation. I don't know if you guys watch sports. I love sports. I watch sports all the time. Champions League, UEFA Champions League. Manchester United were knocked out of the UEFA Champions League by Sevilla. I don't understand United. Honestly, this is what I don't get. The weekend before, United beats my team, Liverpool, right? They beat us. They really did well. They defended and attacked brilliantly. They play Sevilla at home and they lose brilliantly. I don't understand. Like, I just don't get it. You know, now Jose Mourinho is fighting with everybody as per usual. Jose, calm down, boy. Calm down. We're almost at the end of the season. You're gonna make yourself go crazy at that club. That's what happens at United. United, it's such a big club that it makes people go crazy. Look at Alexis Sanchez. Where is Alexis Sanchez? He was killing it at Arsenal. He's amazing at Arsenal. He's now moved to United, and the pressures of being at the Theatre of Dreams has got into him. Also, just my opinion. Real Madrid is through, the current holders, who, I mean, that's like the one team I don't want to play against because you know that they're probably going to win the Champions League again. How they do it, only they know. Ronaldo always shows up when it comes to this time. This is Ronaldo's competition. He showed it over and over again. Who else is through? Barca's through. City's through. Sevilla's through. Rome is through. Yes, very exciting, very keen. Also, like, still on the sport topic, right? We know South Africa's touring, Australia's touring South Africa at the moment in the cricket. And we saw Kagiso Rabada get suspended for violent conduct. Apparently he bumped into Steve Smith during the second test, which I watched it again this weekend. He didn't really bump him. They walked past each other, like, oh. And the worst part is that it wasn't even the refs on the field who made this decision. It was somebody, one of the third umpires or the fourth umpire, somebody else out of it. What? I don't understand. You know, like, one thing that I've always loved about cricket, and especially Test cricket, is the rawness of it. You remember Courtney Walsh? You remember Alan Donald? You remember Jeffrey Boycott? You remember how angry these guys used to get? I'm talking about the fast bowlers. They used to be all up in it. Courtney Walsh, Courtney Walsh and Kirby Ambrose, oh my goodness. They were absolute demons when it came to this. This is what they did, right? And now we've kind of taken that away. I think it's an unnecessary ban. I hope it gets overturned. I think they're hearing it today. I hope it gets overturned because we need KG. You know, KG is a beast. He's young. You know, I mean, do you know what it is to get Steve Smith out? Do you know how many great fast bowlers in the world currently want to get Steve Smith out? Just say, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another fantastic show. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Stay safe on the social medias. Don't post things that you shouldn't be posting. And watch out for the trolls. I am your host, Suleiman Steele. This has been The Late Shift. Thank you very much.